Let's start. Let's go ahead. I'll call this meeting to order. And would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. Okay, so our city clerk, Kathy Swanson, would you do roll call for us, please?
Sure. Mayor McGowan,
Here.
Matthew Lund,
Present.
John Glondo,
Here.
and Rustin Weaver is absent. Stephen Harper,
Present.
Mickey Holtz.
I think it's having technical problems.
Okay. Beth Williams.
Here.
Ken Ratliff.
I'm here.
There you go.
So how about a motion to excuse the absent council members?
So moved. Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded to excuse the absence of Rustin Weaver and Mickey Holtz. Questions on the motion? All in favor with aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, they're
I just hope Russ is going somewhere fun.
they're excused. Okay. Approval of the meeting agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting agenda.
I'll make a second on that.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve the meeting agenda. All in favor with aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
It's getting
So,
hard
now-
to hear you guys again.
It's
maybe
hard
you
to
could
what?
It's getting hard to hear you guys again. Maybe you could reconfirm who made the motion and who seconded it.
For which one? The last to approve the meeting agenda?
Yeah, let's do that one. Yeah.
Okay, it was moved by John Galando and was seconded by Beth Williams, if my
Okay.
memory serves me right. Okay.
Try speaking up.
Hey, look at that. Short-term memory. Ooh.
Still working.
Still working. Ooh, wow.
Rob, you could, Steven, you're standing there, you could turn every one of those up with the exception of J, which J should be the second one from the left.
Stephen is at the mixer, I believe it is.
Correct.
All right, how's that sound? Let's do a little test. Ken,
Ken is here.
Matthew,
I'm here.
how about John Galando?
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
And then Beth Williams.
I'm here too.
And in just a second, you'll hear from,
Yeah. I turned off let the microphone adapt itself, so you'll just hear us hot and live.
so is that any better, sound-wise?
Yes. Carry on.
Okay, thank you. Okay, under announcements, appointments, awards, and recognition, there's a few things that, there's some appointments that I am going to make. According to our ordinances, I have to appoint an airport manager, and that airport manager will be Mike Engelhard. So you know, okay?
So,
And then there's a couple other things that,
clarification.
question? Yes.
Just a clarification. So in the past, when, just for the public's understanding, in the past, they had contacted the city administrator, like to get clearance to fly, et cetera, within the 5-mile zone. So now
Yes.
that person would be designated as Mike Engelhard.
Oh, yes, for sure. Yeah. There has to be somebody. He is involved with everything, all the other aspects. Mike's the guy.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. And then also Beth Williams, I'm going to assign her the trauma council. She would like to attend those and report back to the city. And then also I'm putting Beth on the fire, our fire oversight committee also. And she'll report back. And Ken and Gary Burnt and let's see, and Fred
Benjamin.
is Fred, what's Fred's last name?
Benjamin.
Benjamin,
Yeah.
I should know, is on that committee. So that's
Mr.
that.
Mayor,
Yes.
looks like a vote might be required for
Oh.
the airport administrator.
I think he's airport manager.
Oh, I was looking at, okay.
Yes. And
So what's the airport administrator then?
I don't know if we have an airport administrator.
So that's why I was asking for the clarification, because that's who the person that you generally tell if you're gonna do like an unmanned flight to get clearance.
Okay,
Rob
so
is the airport administrator. I am just the airport manager,
Got
second.
it. Okay, separate, got it.
okay, I'm glad you guys got that figured out. That's good. Now we're working on the airport. It's important. We're lucky to have one, I would say. Okay, let's see. That's for that. How about we're now down to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to accept the
A
consent
motion that
agenda?
we accept the consent agenda as presented.
I second that.
Okay, it's moved by Stephen and Harper and seconded by Beth Williams, council persons, to accept the consent agenda. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So down under officer reports. I put myself there at the beginning because I'm going to report just real quick on on our consultant on Greg Dorn and where we're at with his what do you call it? Remunerated things that we use him for.
Remunerated.
Yes, that we use them for. So far, we have we have a budget of let me look here, 23,000. And so far the expenditures on that of that 23 is $7,182, 31%. So what he has done for us, the one that really took the most amount of his time so far is helping us redirect our planning department. And that's the one that we had a study session on that we've talked with thing. And that I don't have the hours, but that cost us $3,000. Okay, then the other one was the work we had to do on the Forest Ridge with the road and the court action we had to take with that we were able to get an agreement with DNR about how we deal with forest practices in the city, and that was on Columbia. Okay, and then there is been a little bit of City Heights arbitration that he has also worked on. Okay, the Columbia Street one, that one was $2,451. Now the City Heights arbitration, and that was where we went to court with City Heights on how that development agreement, the DA, should be administered. And they've told us how it has to be. And it has to, we wanted it to come to the council and go through those things. And the court said, no, the proponent won on that. So that cost us $866. And then, let's see, there's one other thing. Okay, and that is, let's see. Okay, and that was 866. Forest, okay, so there was another Forest Practices Act that I don't really have the exact details on. I'm sorry, I should have done more homework, but that was for $630. So, and we are going to get from Greg a kind of a worksheet or a outline on the different areas we're going to use them for and what not to exceed and that sort of thing. So that's sort of kind of an overview of where we're at with Greg Dorn. And I have to tell you, we have gotten some really good advice from him, and we're lucky. I would say I'm lucky to have him, I'll tell you that. So we're in the midst of a lot of pressure, changes in the city, and getting our planning up to speed and bulletproof is our goal. So we're working with him on that. So that's the end of my report on that. And I thought I'd do that. And so with that, I'll pass the baton to our city administrator, Rob Ullman.
Real quick,
Yes, oh, wait a minute, have a question?
Never mind.
No? Never mind. Okay, Rob,
Okay.
you have the floor.
Got the baton. Thanks. Thanks,
Yes.
Honorable Mayor, City Council. I just had a quick report. Last month's building permits seemed kind of slow. I actually only issued one permit for a total of six to date. 21 inspections for February. So February is generally the one of the January, February, pretty slow, but I've got a lot of plan review that I'm doing, so I do expect March to be up and coming. Next week, I have 3 days of training, and it's all online, of course, but it's pretty good training from 8. It starts at 8:15. It goes to 4:30. So, and they'll be on the one's going to be on the fire code, one's going to be on the new energy code. This is all for the building department, and then another one's on accessibility, commercial accessibility. So sometimes it's hard to take time out to do the training. I'm supposed to keep up on my training for all my all the certifications that I have. So it's just something I have to do every year, and so that's next week. I'll be out of the office for 3 days, 3 out of 5. Well, I won't be here on the weekend either, but that's all I had. Any questions, guys?
I have one. And I should know this, but at our last meeting, we did not pass, and I have this as it's my fault. I've completely forgot about this. We didn't pass the new building code, and I was supposed to get what happens to us if we don't do it? Is that going to be addressed in your report tonight?
I think it'll be addressed during the unfinished business. It's actually item 9A.
Yeah, I see it. I see it there. I wanted to be sure that was in there, and I should know that. I'm sorry to say, but okay. All right.
Okay.
We'll discuss it further there. All right. Thank you. All right.
Any other questions?
No, that was for me, and I'm the one that should know, right? Okay. Thank you, Rob. So next, next we'll hear from our city planner, Lucy Temple.
Hello, Honorable Mayor and City Council. Thank you. We're still receiving some permit applications, but mostly working on pre-applications, and we have been developing a new process and for that. And I think it's going to be good to get a much more thorough review of projects in the early stages. And then we help the applicants kind of formulate their application package. We have been also working to finalize the FEMA grant for the Hanson Ponds bank stabilization project. That grant was applied for in 2015, and we finally have almost the final contract. I sent it back to our liaisons at the State Department of Military, and they're going to be sending that back to us for execution, and that will be brought to the City Council for review and a request to sign that agreement with them so we can start with the reimbursement through FEMA. For the Planning Commission, I want to let everybody know again that next week, the meeting on Tuesday, March 16th, we'll have 2 public hearings. One is a joint public hearing with the Department of Ecology that's required through their periodic update process for the Shoreline Master Program. So that will be review that Shoreline Master Program document. And then the second hearing will just be a city hearing on potential updates or proposed updates to the critical areas ordinance. So those are both on Tuesday night next week. And also the Planning Commission meetings have started to be led in part by Greg Dorn and the 2021 Planning Priorities document that he developed and the 2021 Planning Commission Work Program that he developed. So it's just going to go in a little bit different of a direction, which is going to be really good for the city and for the planning department. And that's all I have unless anyone has questions.
I think you're free to go. Thank you, Lucy.
Thanks.
All right, next we'll hear from our Public Works Director, Mike Engelhard.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, council members. Crew's been out hard at work, sweeping in the early mornings, trying to beat the traffic. We've been doing that quite a bit. Trying to also watch the temps so we don't have to worry about that. Mother Nature has been giving us a break lately with the snow, which has been great on the crew. Been getting back on track with a lot of our sewer jetting for our preventative maintenance, as well as setting up a lot of training opportunities for the crew. In April, we've got a couple of good trainings coming up for our cross-contamination specialist training. Along with that, we recently appointed Aaron Barr as our new field lead to help take on some of the roles and responsibilities to free up a little bit more time for me. He's been in the position for about a week now and doing a great job, so I appreciate that. As well as I wanted to also give a good shout out to Willie and his team at Veolia. They've been doing a great job of keeping me in communication with all the issues and concerns and trying to get the preventive maintenance up there under wraps. And we're lucky to have Willie and his team involved. They're a great group to work with, but all in all, and also equipment maintenance, with Eric being out, we've kind of fell behind a little bit on some of our equipment preventative maintenance. So the guys have actually switched hats and have been doing that on the side as well, getting the oils changed, all the equipment greased and washed, and kind of trying to do some spring cleanup with all the equipment as well. So they've been doing a great job, and that's all I got for this meeting. Is there any questions?
No, it doesn't seem like there's any questions. Thank you, Mike, for that. I appreciate all the hard work. Actually, I appreciate everybody's hard work. I tell you, I can't point any one person. So next we'll hear from our police chief, Kirk Bland.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, Council. Just a couple of quick things. We had our civil service meeting tonight, and that meeting was to update the rules and regulations for civil service. Just some backgrounds, our civil service rules have not been updated in years, long time. So the new commissioners, they wanted to review it. They had samples from other cities that were recently updated. Those were looked at, and they revamped a whole new rules and regulations pamphlet, and that passed unanimously tonight. So that will immediately go into effect. That was held with a kind of a hybrid Zoom meeting. So thank you, Rob, for getting that set up for us. And Officer Flick is back from firearms school. So he is now state certified as a firearms instructor. So congratulations to Ben, and I know he'll do a great job for us. And finally, Alec Johnson, he is graduating from the academy on March 10th, and we are very excited to get him back. And when he gets back, he'll be on a field training program until he gets released on his own. So he'll be on that for a few weeks more. He started that program before he went to the academy. I think I've talked about it before. The academy with this COVID had a very different academy experience, a lot of interruptions. He was several times, they'd have a 2-week furlough for quarantine purposes. So when he had those quarantines, he came back and worked on his FTO program while he was here for those gaps in time. And he was originally scheduled to graduate in February, but due to all these delays, that's why it's not till March 10th. But we're looking forward to that. And that's all I had for tonight. If there's any questions.
I have a question.
Stephen would like to has a question.
Go ahead.
The makeup of our Civil Service Commission, who are the current officers?
Currently, we have Chuck Wallach and Cammie Stevenson and Eric Jensen.
Okay, and who can you familiarize us just kind of like with their background or their involvement? Like, who do they represent, or are they just all private citizens?
They're all citizens that live within city limits of Elum. That's a requirement to be a commissioner on the civil service. Chuck has been a member of the civil service for many years. Usually the terms are 2 years, 4 years, and 6 years. so that we're not replacing all 3 members in the same year. When the new members were brought in, Chuck agreed to stay, being he had seniority and he was so familiar with the system, because he's literally done it for 40 years between the city of Elum and Kittitas County Sheriff's Office. So he stayed on board for the 2-year term as just a senior representative.
Okay, thank you, Kirk.
You bet.
That's great. Thanks for that, Stephen. Next, we'll hear from our fire chief, Ed Mills. There he is.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, good evening. I've got a couple of things to report on tonight. We had 40 calls in the month of February. 2 of those were fire, 35 aid calls, and 3 good intent calls. The aid cars are both back in service. We got aid 511 back this last week from Ellensburg. It had a bad idler arm pulley on it, so that's been fixed and is now back in service. And we also got our tender 511 back in service. We had gotten a pump, propeller, and shaft with the bearing assembly, got that installed, and it's been reported back to me that it's pumping greater than ever. So that's good news. Shout out to Willie on the water system, and through various communication errors, he was able to get that water boosted up online and redirected for us. So I thank him for that. And then that's about all I've got. Any questions for me?
Ken, you got something? No.
Just wondering about the Bull Durham building. Anything to report there?
Well, the Bull Durham building was I actually called in the Kittitas County Fire Marshal to investigate that. It was reported to be an electrical problem of some type, so kind of a slow burning fire. But it got up into the attic space, which was insulated with sawdust. And once you get that sawdust going with multiple layers of roofing, it's kind of off to the races. Lots of water put on that. I think there was 315,000 gallons dumped on that to get it extinguished. Other than that, there was several paging issues that we had on that. Some of the reports that you might have heard, we went to an iSpy paging system, which pages out over the phones. And we did that a couple of years ago. The members have gotten quite used to using that system, even though that with that, it requires the cell phone towers to be acting and Wi-Fi to be acting. So there might have been a couple issues there, and I'm still trying to figure out the exact reason why Cleon Fire never got paged during the initial. In fact, we didn't get paged out on iSpy until about 6 in the morning. So a big issue with our fire department, I actually had to manually call our team in on the phones. There was actually several problems with the cell phone towers at that time too. So lots of issues there. District 7 got on scene, did a great job. We were able to get 4 engines there rather quickly. We also had our team, which 9 members and 2 engines, after manually phone calls to get those guys in. So any other questions?
Nope. It's all quiet. Thank you, Ed.
One last thing, it has been addressed. We use pagers to notify us. We actually had bought 15 new pagers. They've been all tested, and there were 5 additional pagers reissued after this fire with people that were just relying on I-Spy or the radio page system. So some error of communication there, and I feel confident that we've got that under control with the paging system now.
Okay, thank you, Ed. Next, we'll hear from William LaRue, who's our Veolia operator. William?
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. My usual graphs should be in your packets tonight. Nothing real startling there. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have on the graphs before I proceed if you have any questions. Hearing none, February has been a very interesting month. Started out with lots of snow removal up at the plant. We then moved into a plant air compressor failure. You may or may not be aware that the importance of the air compressors is all of our filter valves are held open by air pressure. And so when we lose a compressor, our plant doesn't run. We ended up having to rent a diesel operated air compressor for about 2.5 days so that we were able to maintain plant operations until we could get parts obtained and installed. What we actually had happen was pressure switches failed and it shorted an alternator board out. So we have new pressure switches put in and a new alternator circuit installed that will alternate the air compressors so that it's not just putting a load all on one air compressor. Along with that, we were able to plumb in, since we were down, an emergency port so that in the future it'd be much quicker. Should we have this happen again, it would be much quicker to get into the air system without a lot of effort. And I'm also working on a second plan to be able to run a independent header system to at least one filter that we can keep open and operational with a small air compressor. Along with this, I've been working with HLA, providing them water information as they are doing the water system update. Thank you, Ed, for the accolades. I appreciate that. When we got the call, or I got the call about 2:30 in the morning of the fire, I was able to remotely get into the plant and start it up and start pushing water to Ed's direction up there into zone 2 for firefighting capabilities. So it's been rather interesting up there. At the wastewater plant, we dealt with a rain on snow event in mid-February. The plant saw a peak flow of 3,224 gallons per minute, which equated to a 24-hour flow total of 3.25 million gallons. And I really appreciate the dedicated efforts of the wastewater staff, Bill Newman, Austin Simmons, and Mike Lackey, who are making operational changes throughout most of the nights to manage these high flows. Without them, these things, they just don't work well. The next one is very important. We've experienced several failures with the operations software down at the treatment plant. Multiple modules within the software platform have become corrupted. The most severe module being the alarm notification program that failed to call out on an alarm event. Thankfully, it was a minor alarm event, and it was caught by a dedicated operator who happened to be checking the plant after hours. Since that has happened, I've gotten a backup auto dialer installed, programmed, and tested, so it is online. The big problem is this software is the original platform for when the plant was constructed back in 2004, 2005. It is extremely obsolete and needs to be replaced. There are very few people around in the industry that remember RSView, which is the program we are using, and even fewer people have the knowledge of and proprietary software available to even work on the platforms. I've spoken with several system integrators. They wouldn't even attempt to try to go into this program and troubleshoot the problem. We got lucky in the fact that the original programmer that did the work back in 2004 and 2005 was still with Veolia. He was willing to attempt to fix it, and he spent well over 6 hours working remotely, applying patches to get the system back up and operational. Everything that has been done to it at this point to make it run is considered Band-Aids. This platform is going to fail if nothing is done, and if it fails during a rain on snow event like we just had, it could be extremely disastrous for us. In 2004, 2005, this software was state of the art. It's not now, and it will take multiple version updates to bring this to something somewhat current. Again, there are very few integrators that even use Rockwell software anymore for operating platforms. Most everyone has gone away to it due to the cost and the proprietary programming software that is required of it, and not to mention the antiquated hierarchy of it. The water plant is currently running a Wonderware program. The city has a current site license for this program. It has become the industry standard platform that is used in both water and wastewater facilities. And almost any integrator can program Wonderware. What I'm trying to get away from is the fact that right now with the RSView software program, there's a very heavy reliance on Veolia. If we lose an integrator, he retires, he goes somewhere else, we got no other options. Like I say, it was by a stroke of luck that we still had the one guy working for us. If we have a common platform such as Wonderware, it will reduce the training time, the programming time, and plus, as I understand it, having common platforms, they can be configured to support each other through the use of a Galaxy. I'm not totally 100% sold on how that works, but it certainly is intriguing. I've contacted several integrators, and I'm currently waiting for cost estimates to come in from these folks. I'll be coming to you in the near future with more information on this, but I wanted you to be aware of where we are currently with this operating program. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you folks may have.
Cost?
That's what he's
He's waiting to find out.
Okay, I missed that part, sorry.
Okay, William, it doesn't seem like our IT people here have anything to say about it. They're waiting to hear how you progress, it looks like. I think that you have a good handle on how and what you need up there. So we'll wait for your, what you decide you have to do, and appreciate the update. I don't see anybody. So any other questions for William? Thank you for that report, William.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. That's it for officer reports. So now we're down to citizen comments and non-agenda items. And Rob, you have to look. Would you look and see? We'll wait and see if there's anybody that wishes to phone in. Is there anybody in the waiting room, or what you would call it?
Well, it is a waiting room, but yeah, we don't. I don't have a waiting room for the one that I do council chambers, but I don't see everybody's up on the screen. I don't see anybody raising their hand.
Well, okay, I should say then, for those of you that are online, that are watching us, if any of you would like to make a comment to the council on non-agenda items, we'll wait a little bit. And it seems like Stephen has said that there are times when people are watching this online that may try to make a comment. We'll give them a few minutes. Things aren't instantaneous anymore.
Mhm.
So we'll wait a little bit. I don't have the clock that I have has that I look at has fluorescent light glare on it, and it's essentially unreadable.
There may be somebody that,
So Honorable Mayor, if I could ask for some clarification, this is Mike.
Yes.
Are we answering questions that people are posting on social
No.
media?
No, we're not. We're not. They
Okay.
have to somehow or another, they have to realize that they have to direct the questions to the council on this platform.
they'd have to join the Zoom meeting or come in person to city
Yes.
council.
Right.
chamber.
That's what I thought. I was just getting clarification because the statement that was just made about what Steven says about people on social media posting.
Well, no. Okay, so no, it's not postings. It's that sometimes they'll be watching it and realize that they need to get on our platform to make their comment. And that's why I was giving them a little bit of time.
Okay, I was
There's
just
so many,
going
because
for
there's so,
clarification.
there's so many possible social media platforms, and there's no way for us to monitor them all. And so
Right.
we have the Zoom meeting or the in-person ability to be able to address the council.
Okay.
But sometimes people don't dial in at the very beginning of the meeting and stay on all up until this point. And sometimes they'll join adjunctly whenever they decide that it's appropriate for them to join. And that's all I had requested, is that they have a minute or two
Okay.
to make that connection.
Well, I think we've,
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
you might want to reiterate what's on the front page of our invitation here, that there's a chance for at least a very few people to attend here.
Okay, so on, so what Councilman Ratliff is talking about is that we can have 12 people in this room, and we have room of, aside from the 7 council people, and as an example tonight, we're short 2. There's room for at least 5 people, 6 people maybe, in this room. So sometimes a person, and we'll work at this, that if a person wants to come here and address the council in person, it is possible to do. We have to be careful about how many. We can't have, technically over 4 if all the council are here. And if it exceeds that, then we'll have to continue the meeting. But otherwise, it is possible to come down here. This is a hybrid meeting. And if we have any luck at all, we'll start to be able to increase. And we might even consider having our council meetings in a little bigger space in the future. Maybe the senior center or something like that. So in any case, that's a kind of a little update for those that may be listening.
Hey, Mickey's joined us.
Okay, there you go. Mickey's here. All right. All right. So with that, I'm going to move on from citizen comment. There's no public appearances. There's no business requiring public hearings, and we're down to unfinished business. And we'll hear from Rob Ullman's our city administrator, and he's going to talk about Ordinance 1602. That should take the floor, Rob.
Okay, thank you. Let me make sure I'm mute. Okay, I'm unmuted. Yep, so I brought this to the council a couple weeks ago. And they said to table it, kind of find out some more information. So technically there's no code squad that's going to come and tell us to follow the code or else. It is state law. It's almost, our attorney is actually saying that sometimes you don't even need to have the council approve it because it's state law. We just have to follow it. I like that our city code kind of reflects what the state law is saying. So it more or less, I feel like I need to start following the state law, and I just hope that we can pass the ordinance tonight. talked with the county. The county said that they have already passed theirs, I believe, on March 2nd or 3rd. I can't remember. And so they're following it as of right now. And as this, as you can see in the very end of the ordinance, that we'll publish it. Let's say it passes today, we'll publish it. It takes 5 days in the newspaper afterwards to make it to take effect. So I'm having this take effect March 18th. So I feel that's fine, even though the state said to adopt it February 1st. I feel that it was kind of we didn't know what was going on. And so now I think we've kind of worked everything all out. And that's what I found out. What, do you have any questions for me?
Stephen has a question.
Well, I just make comment. So in effect, if you're building a building, you're under these codes anyways, because they are state law. We're just, because we opt to have a building code, then we've
Right.
aligned it with the states. And so we're not suppressing the liberty or creating any more undue challenges to a builder, because they would have to follow the state code anyways. So we're not
Anyways.
being more restrictive than the state, and this would get us in line with that. So there's no confusion. And so with that, I would motion that we approve ordinance 1602 and adopt it into our city code, and seek a second.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adopt ordinance 1602, establishing the new building code. Questions on the motion?
Yeah, if this is required by the state, why is the city required to adopt it?
Well, that's what Rob was, well, Rob, you can address, but that's what Rob was saying.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Actually, it's because of the kind of code that we have has provisions for us to, include this. But Rob, I think you addressed that, but go ahead.
Yeah, that's right, though, Mayor. And also what Councilman Harper said, we have elected to have the building code section in our Elum municipal code. And so that's why we've always done it.
We have two.
Nobody's ever not done it.
We have
Yes.
we have two alternatives, if I might. So we have one is, again, not to have it in our code, or two, we do have, while we probably won't ever go this route, we can be more restrictive in our code. And since we've elected not to be more restrictive in our code, we have to at least rise to a certain standard. And the state says, if you're going to have a code, it has to at least meet our minimum standards. It can always be more restrictive, but it has to be at least as restrictive as state, if we have that ordinance, which we've elected to.
Okay.
So hang on. No, you see it. What I've learned, we have to see. Does anyone else want to pipe in? Hang on, so that we have a general discussion on this. Beth, right. Okay, so go ahead, Ken.
We in the last meeting, I guess it was inferred that there were code-related things in this that will definitely increase the cost of housing. Do we have a handle on that?
Well,
Yeah. So I talked with the county again, and the big change, of course, is the energy code. The energy code is wanting houses to use less fossil fuel and to try to be energy efficient, right? So the county's worked some of their numbers, and this is like a Suncadia house, because they deal with Suncadia. Mike Fleury said that it'd be about $8,000 to $10,000 for a Suncadia house, additional cost for this new energy code. I also spoke with somebody from the it's the Building Code Council, their extension that does the energy code. Washington State University, actually, they do it. And they said, well, you know, people are gonna pay, let's say it costs $10,000. Owners of the house will pay that and more throughout the life of the house. So it's more or less, we're paying it up front.
For energy.
For energy efficient, for energy, yeah, for energy. Let's pay for it up front. Yeah, it's gonna cost more up front, but in the end, over the life of the home, it's gonna save 10,000 and more, you know, who knows really, but yeah, so Ken, hopefully that answers it somewhat.
That's
In-
sort of the
in
rationale.
Raw terms, does that mean we're heading to houses pretty much have to have electric heat?
Yeah. So
Yes,
the big,
And,
that's
and
pretty much it. And have and this is not the end either. The energy code
so-
will go beyond this.
you know, we know pretty well that electricity in this market to heat a home costs a lot more than natural gas. And natural gas is getting the penalty here, which is a very clean fuel and costs a lot less than the electric. Unless we could cut a deal with BPA or one of the dams on the Columbia River.
If we had our own electric
They-
system.
You know, we are 10 to 11 cents per kilowatt hour here, Puget Sound Energy, and they are 2 to 3 cents per kilowatt hour. So, I mean, just by the market, there's no reason for gas heat in Chelan or Douglas or Grant County. But here it's different, and I just think it's kind of a shame. We should have natural gas heat. It should be more of an option. And of course, I'm waxing philosophical here and kind of complaining, but I think the notion that we're greener by making everything electric is false.
Okay, so let's carry on the conversation.
But I'm not sure we have a choice, so.
Okay,
anyway.
no, that's all right. No, but let's continue the conversation. I'd add real quick though, unfortunately in town, only a small portion of the residents this town have natural gas available to them. But aside from that, Stephen, you have a comment.
Well, my question is, do you have any specific citations from the Washington Energy Code that preclude a house being able to have natural gas?
No,
My understanding
I
is that
don't.
most of it is about insulation and R factors and type, ways of keeping the heat loss from
Yeah.
the house. Or
Nobody
Is
says you
there
can't put a
in-
propane stove in.
Is there increased insulation requirements in this code?
Well, yeah, there is. So everybody's kind of right and kind of wrong. So they don't preclude you from having natural gas, but they actually don't give you any credit for it. Okay. And so that means you have to come up with other credits. And that might mean a triple pane window, or it might mean more insulation on the walls, which they want to go with what's called a continuous insulation on the outside to try to break that thermal barrier of the stud itself, even to have a thermal barrier. So, there's all kinds of options that you could do. You still have propane or natural gas. Yeah, so there is more options.
Okay.
And
Okay,
there's
very
also
well.
there's also one where, like the ductwork, you don't put it out in a cold area. It's
Right.
kind of
Right,
in the warm
right,
area.
In the envelope.
So it all has to do with energy efficiency,
That works. yeah.
that sort of thing. Any other questions on the motion?
I would say the issue that Sincadia is having is they have an agreement where gas has to be the primary heat source for the homes there. And so they're now having to find creative ways to get enough credits because that now doesn't give them any credits towards the energy.
Part of the game.
Yeah.
Yes. Good point. Any other questions on the motion? If not, all in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Are those opposed?
Aye.
Okay, it's 4-1. The ordinance passes.
Is Mickey present in our meeting?
Oh, that's right. I am sorry. Mickey, can you hear us?
I see him.
Mickey, are you there? He's not on mute, so.
His
He's,
volume might be down.
he might not be able to hear us. Well, we'll give Mickey a pass. We did get 4 votes in favor, so.
Somebody's got to vote against it.
Well, no, it's okay. It's okay. All right. So ordinance 1602 passes. All right. We'll go down to the project acceptance as completed First Street Stormwater Billings Avenue intersection. And it has a couple of parts in it. I guess Strider Construction. There's 2 things here, all in one packet. So Mike, would you walk us through that one?
Sure, Honorable Mayor, Council. You've all been experiencing the great work out there on First Street for the storm drain and the, north side from Billings to Oaks. That has been completed. All of the punch list items have been taken care of. So we bought it off as complete. As far as internally with the HLA and myself, so now it's your turn, as well as the final payment, which is payment estimate number 7, which is in there, which is for a whopping $405 that's balance remaining owed after all of their paperwork has been processed and liens have all been lifted for the project. So we're asking for you to accept the project as complete and authorize the mayor for the final project estimate number 7 to be paid.
Okay.
I make a motion that we pass ordinance, whatever this one is called.
Actually,
Progress estimate number 7 and project acceptance as complete.
Second.
okay, it's moved and seconded to accept the First Street Stormwater and Billings Avenue intersection improvements as complete and authorize the final payment of $405. Is that accurate for the thing?
Yes.
Okay, questions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor with aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that will go to the mayor for signature. All right, so then on the last one, and I don't have anything in writing for you guys, but I want to give you some ideas of what it is that I'm working on as far as you might say the marching orders for the 12-acre task force. And I'll just give you a few highlights. You will get a written, proposal, at the next meeting. We're still working on this. But what it will entail is a review of the Parks and Recreation Plan, as well as priorities of other organizations providing recreational opportunities for our community. It'll identify and evaluate alternative development and use scenarios for the 12 acres. And it will recommend a preferred alternative to the city council. It'll oversee a draft master plan to guide the development and use of the 12 acres, that sort of thing. And let's see. And then also recommend strategies to utilize the dedication of land and value required improvements to leverage the money we have to support our park and recreation community. Just sort of some brief outlines of what I'm going to be presenting to you for what this oversight task force goes with the city. We're not like I've been trying to tell people, the project on the park for the the kids, what do you call those?
Playground.
Playground equipment is up and running, and they can go for that. That's not a problem, you know. But this kind of, well, I call it task force, and there'll be, you know, lots of people involved, all that you'll be able to see. I can't give you details right now. I'm working on it, but it'll explain the structure of it, who would be involved, you know, all those sort of things. And I'm, you know, this is just an update. And like I say, I wouldn't even begin to ask you to approve something like this until you see it on paper. And I don't have it on paper yet, but I am actively working on putting this together. And so really, you know, that's my update. So, and it's going to be a good project. You know, we really have something to be proud of that we're going to be able to put together up there. 12 acres. Stephen, you have a question?
I might recommend then, because we do have a Park and Recs committee, and this would seem to be a function of them, though you're wanting it to be a separate entity, that rather than them directly present to the council, might be a wise idea to have them basically present to the Parks and Recs, and then either have a presentation or literally bring their findings. It'd be just like if we were to contract out on any of the other committees to an external organization to do some planning or process, et cetera. And then we come and hand you the finished digestion of that.
Sure.
I might recommend that would probably be a good procedure to follow, is
we'll
have them do their work and then have them work through a established committee that, you know, rather than coming straight to the council and then having to go back and forth with the council entity, you know, we have a committee in place to do that.
We'll be working with them for sure. They'll know what's happening.
Will what you're going to present go through the Parks and Rec committee before it comes to council?
Well, I imagine it will. I have to think out how we're doing it. You know, yeah, of course, the Parks Committee will know everything about this. So you'll hear from me when I have something concrete, okay? And then we'll include everybody. Will have a say. I'm going to tell you right now, everyone will have a say. We're not excluding anybody. So that's what I'm working on. And then with that, we'll go down to committee reports, and Beth Williams will give us a little bit of a legislative procedure committee update.
Well, unfortunately, I plan to have the first 3 chapters to you guys before this meeting so you could look at them. Glasses are fogging. But that didn't get done, so we're going to send them to you later this week to all the council members so you can look at it. And then we'll discuss it next meeting. So nothing really to report this week.
Okay, but we will have something on paper and that, and I completely agree. You know, I know on other boards I sit on, when you're going to go there and you get the information 5 minutes before the meeting, I apologize. I don't like it. I know you don't like it, and I'm sorry that I've ever made that mistake. Let me tell you, because how do you know? How do you say anything? So that is very important for being able to make a decision. So everybody will know what we're doing. No surprises. Well, okay. I don't know. Number 12.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay, we are adjourned. All right.
Very good.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody attending. Appreciate it.
Enough.
Yes.